All right, we are now streaming live on YouTube. Today is February the 6th, 2024. I'm Judge Kate Johnson. This is the preliminary hearing for Davies Agabe, State of Georgia versus Davies Agabe, charged in warrant number 2024 WA 01169, theft by shoplifting, representing the state is Attorney King, representing the defendant's attorney Mark Lane. Your witness, Attorney King.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Michael, will you please raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And where are you currently employed, Officer Michael?
Clayton County Police Department.
And how long have you been employed with the Clayton County Police Department?
4 years.
And have you been post-certified for the duration of your employment there?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is your position there?
Police officer.
Okay. And were you on duty on January 4th of 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
And on that date, did you make contact with the defendant, Davies Agabe?
Yes, ma'am.
And as a result of that contact, did you place Ms. Agabe under arrest?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you charge her with?
Theft by shoplifting.
And can you tell the court why you charged her with theft by shoplifting?
He stole 3 items out of this BP gas station.
Okay. And how were you able to confirm that?
Once I made contact with the store clerk at the gas station, he let me know where he stole, and he gave me a description of the guy. A nearby witness that was walking down the street advised that they saw him walking southbound on South Lake Parkway. As I got in my patrol car, I canvassed the area. I saw him walking. I immediately made contact with him.
Okay.
I detained him. I searched him. I didn't find anything in his bag. But once I got back to the store clerk advised that was him. He positively identified him.
Okay. And did the store clerk advise what items were taken?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember what they were?
It was a Gatorade and 2 honey buns.
And at any point did the defendant ever make any statements about stealing those items from the store?
Yes, ma'am. Once I detained him, I Mirandized him, asked him what did he take or what was he doing in the store, and he advised that he went in there and he jacked him. I asked him what does jack mean, and he said he stole from him.
Did he say what he stole?
2 honey buns and a Gatorade.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
All right. Cross, Attorney Lane.
Good morning, officer.
Good morning.
I was looking at your report here. When you took my client into custody, you said that you Mirandized him.
Yes, sir.
I don't see that in your report.
It's in there.
Can you point out in your report where you say that you Mirandized him?
Third paragraph.
Oh, you're exactly right. That first sentence there. All right. And then as far as the ID, when you got the description from the store owner and then went to go canvass the area, how far out did you go from the store?
Maybe probably about 100 yards, if that.
Okay.
The length of the field.
Okay. And did you have a picture of my client, or was it just a verbal description given to you?
It was a verbal description of what he was wearing.
Okay. All right. And when you brought him back to the store employee, was to identify him, how long did that process play out? Was he 100% sure right off the bat, or would he have to sit there and kind of figure it out?
He was 100% sure. I rolled down the window and he immediately identified him.
Okay. And did you say was there any video reviewed there at the store security camera?
No, sir. He didn't have access to the cameras.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't have any further questions.
Any redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor.
All right. In closing arguments, Attorney King.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state would just rely on Officer Michael's testimony He advised that the victim gave a description of the defendant and told Officer Michael exactly what was stolen from the store. He made contact with the defendant, who was not far from the street, down the street from the store. Defendant matched the exact description the victim gave, and he admitted to stealing exactly what the complainant said he had stole. And so we would just ask that the state be bound over, that the case be bound over.
Right, Attorney Lane.
Your Honor, we just submit with the testimony.
All right, based upon the evidence presented, I do find there is sufficient probable cause to bind this case over to the state court. Clayton County, that's the order of the court. All right, and who do we have? The officer, you're free to go if you don't have anything else pending.
Oh, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. And so are we gonna go straight down the list?
Yes, Your Honor, the state is ready on Alfonso Black.
Deputy, if you would get Alfonso Black, please.
Miss King, he's en route down to Main for a whole. Your Honor, where you clear my traffic?
I'm sorry?
Where you clear my traffic?
What did you say?
Can you hear me clear?
I can hear whoever is speaking.
This is the jail.
Yes.
Last name Black Alfonso. He's
Uh-huh.
coming up with a housing unit. That's the only inmate that we don't have down here yet.
Okay, let's see if we can move on. Can we go to Ronald Blue?
Yes, sir.
The state is ready on Blue.
All right, Deputy, if you could get Ronald Blue. All right, now calling, are you Mr. Blue?
Mom.
Okay. This is the preliminary hearing for Mr. Ronald Blue, State of Georgia versus Ronald Blue, warrant number 2023 WA 73245, loitering. and 2023 WA 73246 criminal trespass. Representing the state is Attorney King, representing the defendant is Attorney Lane. Attorney King, your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I could get just 1 second to speak to my officer, I apologize, Your Honor. I just need to confirm something.
And I don't know if we need to have a hearing on Mr. Blue, because I'm gonna UJR him. He has no criminal history.
Okay.
The two items that he did have, they were dismissed. So he's been sitting in jail since December on a criminal trespass. I'm gonna UJR him. But if you guys just want to go through the hearing, you can.
I apologize, Your Honor. Can you repeat that?
I'm going to UJR him. He does not have a criminal history. The charges that he does have, it's on his criminal history, were dismissed. And so he's been sitting in jail on a criminal trespass.
The state has no objection.
Your Honor, defense, of course, has no objection. Waive hearing.
How can we, well, I guess once he get out, it'll automatically waive. But I would like for them to sign waivers. Please, do y'all have waivers over there?
Your
If
Honor,
not, I
can
can,
email it?
yeah, email, if y'all could, where does she need to email, the UJRs? I mean, excuse me, the waivers.
A preliminary waiver, Your Honor?
Yes,
I have them here. I could create one with his name on it if that's what you need me to do on this end. If not, I could give her my email. But we
okay,
have them.
just give her your email address.
Okay, I'll put it in the chat.
In worst case scenario, the ones that you have, those are you're saying that you already have a preliminary hearing waiver there?
That's correct. And I can add his name too at the top. He can sign at the bottom.
Okay,
Your Honor, we can use that.
okay, all right, so if you could email get him to sign, you can email them all at one time if you would like.
I just got down here.
What is he? I'm gonna email.
Ms. Thomas, if you can prepare the UJR, please.
Your Honor, and also, Ms. Bermudez is asking if a Spanish interpreter is going to be needed.
Do we know if an interpreter is needed?
Yes, Your Honor, I have a client who needs the interpreter. I can tell you who that is if you'll give me just a second to pull up my list.
All right. Mr. Blue, if you just sign the waiver, I'm gonna You're gonna be released today, all right?
And my apologies, Your Honor, what is the last name again?
Ronald Blue.
Your Honor, we'll need the interpreter on Benia Vasquez.
So let her know we will need her, but do we have that officer available?
Vasquez. Let me confirm, Your Honor.
All right. We do.
Vasquez Clark.
And Attorney King, let me ask you a question, because this is what they do in District Attorney's Office. Do you prepare a calendar and send it over to them with the bond, with any proposals prior to court?
Your Honor, no, Your Honor, we do not do that. That's not our process. For as long as I've been here, no, we don't do that.
So there's absolutely no conversation between the state and the Public Defender's Office prior to court?
No, that's not at this time. That's not the procedure. We don't have conversations for preliminary hearings.
Why not? Attorney Lane,
Your Honor,
why
I'm
not?
not sure. That is something that we can discuss moving forward, trying to put that into practice. But as of now, that just has not been something that we put into practice. I'm assuming just based on our time constraint, given that, you know, we have so much court going on. I'm
Okay.
assuming that's part of the issue.
Certainly,
right.
Judge, I'd be more than happy to entertain any waiver in exchange for an OR bond on some of these folks. If the problem is we don't have access to the background check system that they do. If they want to look at some of these trespass cases, and if they're in a serious criminal history there, we'd be more than happy to waive prelim in exchange for an OR bond on these
Or
hearings.
even a lesser bond, I don't know. But okay, let's just keep going. I do want to get these officers out of here. So for Alfonso Black, did we get Mr. Black yet?
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Black is here.
Okay, all righty. So Mr. Blue can go back. He's gonna be released.
Okay, and also to the Spanish speaking inmates, it's 2 of them.
All right, I think we gotta wait for the officers to come on, for the Spanish speaking ones. All right, so if I can get Mr. Alfonso Black.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Ms. Bermudez. How are you?
I am well. In the meantime, is it okay if I log off and I need to go and take care of something else in another court?
Okay, Attorney King, we
Yes,
don't have any of the officers right now for the interpreter cases, right?
Your Honor, I apologize. Wasn't sure if the court could hear me. We do have the officer on Vasquez.
Okay, Deputy, I'm sorry. Let's do Vasquez, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge.
And I didn't hear the second defendant.
I'm
The
sorry.
other one. I didn't hear who the second defendant was.
Hold on to the deputy. Oh, deputy, what's the second interpreter case needed?
For Gilo Morales.
Okay,
Let me double check that one. I do not have the officer here just yet.
all right. So, deputy, are you getting Vanilla Vasquez? And do I need to turn on the interpreter function?
Yes, please, Your Honor.
All righty, and I think, Attorney Williams, you have to turn on the interpreter function.
Oh, okay.
Ms. Yeager, you as well?
Okay, I see it. Oh, it's
Yes,
interesting.
Your Honor,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, we ready? And we are, oh, this is Vasquez. All right, this is the preliminary hearing calendar case for Benelia Vasquez, charged in warrant number 2024 WA 01190.
You know I was on the
by
right.
shoplifting.
You know they don't play about that.
I need your phones on mute, please. Representing the state is Attorney Williams. Representing the defendant is Attorney Yeager. Your witness, Attorney Williams.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Officer Clark Miles.
And let's remember we have an interpreter, so we got to slow down. I totally forgot myself.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning, officer. Could you please raise your right hand? You swear affirm the testimony you'll give before the court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Thank you. You can put your hand down. Can you please state your name for the record?
Yes, ma'am. Miles Clark.
And where do you work?
Work for the Clayton County Police Department.
And how long have you been a Clayton County police officer?
I'm a little over a year now.
And are you post-certified?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
And were you post-certified on January 5th, 2024?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
And as part of your job duties, do you respond to calls from people through 911?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Do you recall responding to 6980 Terra Boulevard, a BP gas station?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was that call in reference to?
Yes, ma'am. So we got a call about an individual in the store taking things without taking items, food to be exact, without paying and also eating inside the store.
And did you speak with anyone about the individual in the store?
Yes, ma'am. I talked to the clerk that was behind the window.
And did they give you a description of who the person was?
Yes, ma'am, but I do have a less than an hour before I was able to identify the subject because we had a prior incident less than an hour before. So and the evidence was right there. So I was able to just make out who it was right then and there.
So was he in the store?
Yes, ma'am.
And is the same individual that was in the store here on the Zoom call today?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that the individual in the orange jumpsuit?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So based on the evidence that you saw and the conversations you had with the clerk, what did you do?
So once I talked to the clerk and he confirmed that he did not that the subject did not pay for the items that he was eating in the store, I told the subject that he was under arrest for shoplifting, theft by shoplifting.
And can you recall what some of the items were?
Yes, ma'am. It was about 2 or 3 fruit cups and like a little Debbie snack cake.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Nothing further.
Cross?
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer, do you speak Spanish?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Did you have another officer on scene who was able to translate between the defendant and yourself?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So did he speak English to you?
Slightly, but not a lot.
Okay. The person that you made contact at the store, was that person a worker or a manager?
He was a manager.
Okay, and did he indicate to you that they had previously given Mr. Vasquez the opportunity to have snacks there at the store on credit?
No, ma'am.
And again, were you able to advise Mr. Vasquez of his rights or to ask his version of what was happening?
Yes, ma'am.
And was he able to tell you since he doesn't speak English?
He said no pay, so he told me that he did not pay for the stuff that he was eating inside the store.
And he said, I didn't pay for the things I was eating inside the store.
He said no pay.
Okay, so you don't know what he was talking about because you don't speak Spanish.
Well, no pay meaning in that situation when we was there that he didn't pay for the items that he was eating after I asked.
All right. That's all the questions I have, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
Just one question, Your Honor. Officer, based on the circumstances and the interaction you had approximately an hour before, were you still able to make a determination that the same individual did in fact eat food without permission and did not pay for it?
Yes, ma'am. I actually seen the items that he was eating when I walked inside the store.
And did you confirm with the clerk that that individual did not pay for those items?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Closing argument?
Your Honor, we
Thanks.
would submit, based on the officer's testimony, that Mr. Vasquez did enter into the store and eat food off the shelf without paying for it, as well as the officer's conversation with the clerk to verify that as well. And based on his testimony, Mr. Vasquez he was able to have a slight conversation with him as to what happened. And the defendant did confirm that he did not pay by saying no pay while he was eating the snacks. So we would submit that there is probable cause and we'd ask this case be bound up.
All righty.
You have no
Anita?
argument, Your Honor.
Based upon the evidence presented, I do find there is sufficient proper cause to bind this case over to the State Court of Clayton County. That's the court of the court. I'm now calling the matter of Virgilio Morales.
I'm so sorry, Your Honor. Please.
All right, Deputy Camilla Vasquez, we're done with him.
Am I free to go, Judge?
Yes,
Una
thank you.
pregunta. ¿Cuánto tiempo más voy a estar aquí?
And Your Honor, that case is actually
Does anybody have Mr. Vasquez criminal history? Do you have it, Ms. King?
Your Honor, if Ms. Williams has the case file, do you have it, Ms. Williams, in the case file?
I apologize, Your Honor. You were cutting out. I didn't hear what you said.
I said,
She
do
said-
you have Mr. Vasquez criminal history?
Oh, yes, ma'am, I do.
Does he have anything?
Yes, ma'am. He has 5 cycles currently. He has recently and previously pled to harassing communication or improper 911 conduct, simple assault, and obstruction. And he currently has pending obstruction charges out of Atlanta, which I believe is a felony, and as well as a pending obstruction here in Clayton County.
Okay, all righty. All right, Mr. Vasquez, we're done with you. And if we can bring up Mr. Morales, Deputy.
Your Honor, the state is going to directly accuse that case.
You're going to or you have?
It's going to be done actually within the next 5 minutes.
All right, so Ms. Bermudez, if we need you again, we will email you. I can't hear you. I understand. Have a good one. Thank you. We'll call you back if we need to.
Your Honor, I think there might be a slight issue with your microphone. It sounds very in and out. I don't know. I
Mine?
might be the only person. Yes, ma'am. You just sound. Sometimes you sound like you're very far away, even though you don't move. So I don't know.
Yeah,
If
I'm not
you're
sure.
also still in the translation mode, it'll do that as well.
Mm-hmm. Let me see if I can.
I was experiencing that, Your Honor, but when I took off the interpretation and went back to just original audio, that stopped.
Oh, it did. Okay, then I switched it off. So hopefully it won't do it again.
All right. Is that better?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. All righty. So, and are we now ready for Mr. Alfonso Black?
The state is ready, Your Honor.
We get Mr. Black, deputy. And while we wait, Attorney King, does this defendant have a criminal history?
Yes. Let's pull it up. Like he has a criminal history out of Texas dating back all the way to 1978. Common charges are theft, like public disorder crimes. You see his most recent one, 2001, 2013. His most recent one is out of Texas, and it's showing for burglary of a habitation. Let me see. Okay, here's this Georgia cycle. Aggravated assault. He was charged with, but not convicted of.
Dismissed.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
So out of Georgia, his most
Dismissal,
recent,
right?
yeah, it was a dismissal. So he doesn't have any recent, anything recent out of Georgia. His last conviction was in 2013 in Texas for burglary of a habitation.
I'm gonna UJR him.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge. We, of course, waive hearing.
Right. Deputy, would you
I'm clear.
please let, have Mr. Alfonso Black sign a waiver, please?
I'm clear.
Ms. Thomas, did you get that? Would you please prepare the, UJR on Alfonso Black?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
So currently I have blue and black for UJRs.
Yes.
Your Honor.
All righty. What about Samuel Bryant? Are we prepared to start on Samuel Bryant?
Yeah, Honor, Samuel Bryan is being directly accused.
I represent Samuel Bryant. This is Attorney Kenneth Muhammad. And Judge, I don't know if you do this, but we really wanted to just see if we could be heard on bond.
Your Honor, the state would object to a bond hearing. This is set for a preliminary hearing. The state is directly accusing the case. I would ask that Attorney Muhammad filed a motion for bond.
Can y'all tell me his criminal history, please?
I'm sorry.
Your Honor, Your Honor, at the time, I don't have the case file. Deputy Chief Ponder has the case file because it's currently at this time being directly accused.
Did you ask about the history? I didn't catch the question.
Yes, that's what I asked about the history.
He has no convictions.
And Your Honor, at this time, the state has no way to confirm that because we do not have a case file at this time.
So what I'm looking at, it says that he is on probation out of Fulton County right now.
I'm sorry. There was one matter. I was thinking that we got it totally dropped. There was a matter that we had where there was some small charge that he did enter a plea on. I forgot what it was though.
It's reckless conduct.
Yeah, reckless conduct. Yeah, I was thinking that case it got totally dropped, but it was a reckless that he did enter a plea on. But that's really it. That's all that he has.
And Your Honor, just to put on the record, the state would object to a bond at this time, given the charge. It is a simple battery charge. We have not had contact with the victim to make her aware of any bond hearing. And of course, the victim has a right to be aware of a bond hearing and also to be present for a bond hearing and to be notified that the defendant is going to make bond. We've not been able to make contact with her at this time.
Judge, if I could say one thing, I've sent over to the state a written statement from the victim. She could be added onto the Zoom in just a few moments if we want to take another case. And contact can be made with her and she will speak to the court directly.
And again, Your Honor, we're here for a preliminary hearing. The proper procedure is to file a motion for bond. Attorney Muhammad knew that his client was on the schedule for a preliminary hearing. If he wanted a bond hearing, he should have filed a motion. And so again, we would object to that. Again, we have not been able to speak to the victim nor investigate the case in any kind of way to prepare for a bond hearing. For those reasons, we would object to a bond hearing.
And just for the court's benefit, I thought based on what I know about the circumstances, we would be able to agree on a consent bond. And I spent a considerable amount of time on that, and I just didn't get any response back. And so that's why we're kind of in this position, because we never had a chance to talk, despite me trying to get information to several different people, sending emails, written statements from the victim. I just couldn't get anyone to talk to me about a consent bond.
But you could have filed a motion, no disrespect, but Attorney Muhammad, you could have filed a motion for a bond hearing. That's the proper procedure.
Well, Judge, I understand that right today we're on for prelim. I'm just saying what my intentions were with regard to this particular hearing.
And currently he has a bond. Oh, his bond is denied. All right, and so what was the state's announcement in this? Ready to proceed?
The state announcement is that it's currently being directly accused.
Does that mean not ready?
No, it means it's been directly accused. We're gonna.
It has been already, or it will be?
It's currently being directly accused today.
But is it accused as of this very moment?
Your Honor, this case is with our Deputy Chief Ponder. She's in a different courtroom. So she is working on directly accusing the case. I cannot tell you if it has been accused yet at this moment, but it's currently being. I know that she's working on directly accusing cases.
It just sounds like not ready.
All right, so what I do, I will hold on this, but at the end of the calendar, if it's not accused, then at that point, council will be able to make whatever motions he desires. So I'm gonna hold on this one for a bit.
Thank you, Judge. Can I log off and then log back on at 10:30 for that purpose?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Jarvis Butler, are we ready on that one?
The state is ready, Your Honor.
Deputy, can we get Jarvis Butler, please? That's Mr. Butler.
Yeah, ma'am.
Now calling the matter of State of Georgia versus Jarvis Butler. Charged in warrant number 2024 WA 01139, criminal trespass, representing the state. Attorney King representing the defendants, Attorney Mark Lane. Attorney King, your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Das, will you please unmute yourself? There you go. Will you please raise your right hand? You swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, and will you please state your full name for the record?
Sakat Das,
Okay, and Officer Das, where are you currently employed?
City of Forest Park Police Department.
And how long have you been employed with the Forest Park Police Department?
Going on 2 years.
Okay, and what has been your position there?
Police officer.
And have you been post-certified for your duration with Forest Park?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and were you on duty on January 4th of this year?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Okay, and were you dispatched to 1401 Rock Cut Road, which is the H&Y Food Mart on that day?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
And why were you dispatched to that location?
I was dispatched to that location on that day in reference to two suspicious people that was standing in front of the store that was asking customers for money and harassing customers as well.
And upon your arrival, were you able to identify who those suspicious persons were?
Yes, ma'am, I was. As soon as I was pulling in, the black male that was later identified as Mr. Jarvis Butler and the black female that was later identified as Miss Rosalind, they was walking away from the store like about 50 feet, and that's when I made contact with them and immediately stopped them.
Okay, and at the end of your investigation, did you arrest the defendant Jarvis Butler?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And why did you arrest Mr. Butler?
Mr. Butler was previously issued a criminal trespass warning back in last year of May 30th. He was issued a CT warning, which was by me. I spoke with Mr. Butler and I explained to him like the store owner, store clerk requested him to be criminally trespassed from location. If he is back on the property before the 2 years expire, he would be subject to be arrested.
Okay, and you said the criminal trespass was issued by you?
Yes, ma'am.
So you was able to confirm that criminal trespass was still in effect on that day?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Okay, and did you speak to the complainant?
I did. I was speaking with Miss Victoria, the store clerk, and she stated that Mr. Jarvis Butler was previously issued a criminal trespass warning, and he came back and he was harassing the customers and asking them for money by the doorway.
Okay, thank you, Officer Dodds. Your Honor, the state has no further questions at this time.
All righty. Cross? Attorney Lane?
Good morning, officer.
Morning, sir.
When you encountered Mr. Butler, did it seem like he was able to understand your demands or any questions you were asking him?
Yes, sir. I explained to Mr. Butler what was the reason for me making contact with him today. And I advised him, I advised him already. I stated that, Mr. Butler, you have been issued a criminal trespass warrant at this location. If I'm not mistaken, I believe you recall stating that he wasn't doing anything, but I definitely went back and confirmed with the store clerk. She stated that he was standing in front of the store asking the customers for money and harassing them as well.
So just based on your conversation with him, it seemed like mentally that he was okay. He had all his faculties. He understood what was going on.
Yes, to my understanding, yes. I can
And how
understand.
about-
He told me
Okay.
that he suffered from schizophrenia. That's what he told. That's what I remember. He was telling me he suffered from schizophrenia.
And his physical condition, did it look like he was okay, or were there any noticeable injuries to his body?
Not to my knowledge, no, sir.
Okay. And did he cooperate with you throughout the investigation?
Yes, sir, he did. It seemed like last time I came in contact, he was trying to run, but I advised him. I said, "Don't run." I said, "I just want to speak to you," and I advised him the situation, what was going on. But he
I have no
complied.
further-
It's not with no problems.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Any redirect, Attorney King?
Just warn Your Honor, just to confirm, Officer Dodge, you advised that it did, on that day, it seemed as though the defendant understood what you were saying to him when you were speaking with him?
Yes, ma'am. He was having the conversation with me and everything. He was just normally talking. Excuse me.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Closing arguments?
Your Honor, the
Attorney
state would
King?
just rest on Officer Dodd's testimony. He confirmed himself that he was the officer that previously gave the defendant his criminal trespass that was in effect for 2 years and was still in effect on that day, and that the defendant was aware and understood that he was not supposed to be on that property. So we would ask that the court find that there is probable cause and that you bind it over to state court.
All right, Attorney Lane?
Your Honor, we just submit with the officer's testimony.
Based on evidence presented as we find that there was sufficient probable cause to bind this case over to the state court, Clayton County. That's the order of the court. So can we get Kenneth Kane?
Your Honor, am I free to go?
Yes, you're free to go. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys
Yeah.
have a great day.
Thank you. Are we ready for Kenneth Kane?
The state is ready, Your Honor.
All right, Deputy, can we get Mr. Kenneth Kane, please? And then the next one is going to be Courtney Cheatham. Are we ready on Courtney Cheatham as well?
The state is ready.
Okay. Oh, are you Mr. Kenneth Kane? All righty.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Okay. We're now calling the matter of State of Georgia versus Kenneth Kane, warrant number 2024 WA 70102, battery, family violence. Representing the state is Attorney King, representing the defendant, Attorney Lane. Attorney King, your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Kenyon, will you please raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay. And will you please state your full name for the record?
Kenyon Ford.
And Officer Ford, where are you currently employed?
Clayton County Police Department.
And how long have you been employed with the Clayton County Police Department?
A little over 3 years.
Okay. And were you on duty on January 3rd of this year?
Yes.
And were you post-certified on that day?
Yes, ma'am.
And on that day, were you dispatched to 8592 Regent Street in Jonesboro in reference to a domestic disturbance?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you observe upon your arrival?
We responded to that location with the caller, Ms. Bonner. She gave us a complaint about the domestic incident she had with her brother, Mr. Kane. She alleged that he punched her after they had a disagreement. He was intoxicated and he was inviting to her a stranger into the home to use the restroom or something like that, and she confronted him about it. They got into a physical altercation where she alleged that he punched her in the face. Ms. Bonner did have visible swelling to her face under her eye that we did see while we were on the scene of the incident.
Okay. And was the defendant on scene when you arrived?
The first time, no.
Okay. And were you dispatched out again?
Yes. So later that evening, she had called us back. When he returned home, we made contact with him when we got back out there the second time. He appeared to be intoxicated at that time as well. He refused to speak to us, just to give us any type of side of the story from his perspective. At that point, we placed him in custody without no incident.
Okay. Okay. As far as, do you know during your investigation, did you learn if the defendant and the victim lived together, or did they reside at separate places?
They did reside together, and they are brother and sister.
Okay. Did the defendant make any statements about what had happened that night?
When we made contact with him, he was sitting in the garage, sleep. We woke him up and he attempted to ask him about it. He stated that he didn't hit her, but she hit him, and that was all he said. And he said he didn't have to talk to us any further.
Okay. And did you see any marks of bruises on the defendant? Any injuries on the defendant?
No.
Okay. And the defendant you see here before you today, is that the defendant that the victim stated had hit her that night?
Yes.
Okay. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
All right, Ross?
Hey, good morning, officer.
Good morning.
When you arrived at the residence, were you able to determine who owns the residence there at 8592 Regent Street?
I believe it's their mother.
Okay. And was she there when you arrived?
The mother?
Uh-huh.
Yes, I believe she was in bed in her room.
Okay. Did she ever provide a statement, or did you all ever speak with her?
No, we did not.
Okay. Were there oh, go ahead.
The victim, Ms. Bonner, stated the mother didn't see it. The only other person that was present was Mr. Kane's son and the other female party that was the stranger.
Okay. Were they present?
At the time that we were there, no.
Okay. And did you ever review any kind of video evidence?
No, sir, I did not.
Oh, okay. And did Miss Tamala Bonner, did she require any medical treatment?
Not while we were there, no. But she did have the visible swelling to her eye.
Okay. And when you were speaking with her, how was her mental state?
She was fine to us.
She was able to effectively communicate with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I don't have any further questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor.
Closing arguments?
Your Honor, yes, the state would rely on the Officer Ford's testimony He advised he was dispatched out to a disturbance upon arrival. He spoke to the victim directly, who stated that she had gotten into an argument with the defendant, who was her brother, and during the argument, he punched her in the face. Officer observed for himself swelling to the victim's eyes, and he was also able to confirm that the victim and the defendant did live with each other. So we would ask that you find that there is probable cause and that the case be bound over.
All right, Attorney Lane.
Just briefly, Your Honor, it's just another case that he said, she said. We don't know who the initial aggressor was here. He's claiming she was the first one. She's claiming he was the first one to get physical. And so just based on that, we request that the case be dismissed.
All right. Based on the evidence presented, I do find that there is sufficient probable cause to bind this case over to the State Court of Clayton County. That's the order of the court. Mr. Cheatham, next, please. Deputy, you're free, officer, you're free to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Roberts, film shoot.
And Deputy, Mr. Kane, do you have
I'm just here to kind of assess all this construction. Okay. Oh, you good?
What is going on?
All right.
I think somebody's unmuted
Do you
again.
have Mr. Kane's LE number?
Let's see.
I have it, Your Honor.
What is it?
1020505.
Okay, thank you. All righty, we're done with him. We're waiting on Mr. Cheatham, please.
And Your Honor, the state is also going to be ready on Travis Coleman, the next case, if they wanted to go ahead and get him ready.
And Deputy Travis Coleman is going to be after that one.
I didn't get the next name. You guys were talking over each other.
Travis Coleman.
Coleman is next.
Yes, ma'am. Courtney Cheatham first, and then Travis Coleman.
Courtney Cheatham.
All right, is this Mr. Cheatham? Are you Mr. Cheatham? Just nod yes or no? Okay, all righty. All right, now calling the matter of State of Georgia versus Courtney Cheatham, warrant number 2024 WA 01136, criminal trespass. Representing the state is Attorney King. Representing the defendant is Attorney Lane. Your witness, Attorney King.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Nathan, Parker, will you please raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and will you please state your full name for the record?
Officer Nathaniel Parker.
And Officer Parker, where are you currently employed?
The airport.
Okay, and what is your position there at the airport?
Officer.
Okay, and how long have you been employed with that position at the airport?
16 years.
And have you been post-certified for your duration as an officer there?
Yes.
Okay, and were you on duty on January 4th, 2024?
Yes.
And on that day, did you make contact with the defendant, Courtney Cheatham?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that the defendant you see before you today?
Yes, ma'am.
And as a result of your contact with the defendant, did you end up arresting Mr. Cheatham?
Yes.
And what did you charge him with?
Criminal trespassing.
And what was that charge based on? Why did you charge him with criminal trespass?
When I came in contact with Mr. Cheatham, he was sprawled out in the atrium, sleeping. In the city of Atlanta, you're not allowed to lodge in the airport without any kind of airport business. I got him up. He said he advised that he got kicked off the MARTA train. So our policy is we'll give you a MARTA card, but you have to come to the precinct. And when in the precinct, we'll check the logs to see if you actually have a criminal trespassing warning. And he did have a trespassing warning.
Okay. And were you able to confirm when that trespass was issued to the defendant?
Yes, it was issued on November 28th, 2023.
And so it was still active on January 4th of 2024?
Yes.
Okay. And did he state why he was there? Did he have any good purpose for being there?
I mean, he stated, like most state, that they got kicked off the MARTA train. They got to the last stop. They don't have any money to return, stuff like that. It's the same story.
Okay. Thank you, Officer Parker. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Ross, please.
Hey, good morning, officer.
Morning.
Mr. Cheatham's there at the airport. You said, how close is the atrium to where there's the I guess the care center for the homeless people there in the airport?
It's right upstairs.
Okay. So do you frequently then have homeless folks there, I guess, lounging in the atrium area?
Yes, but if they're coming to see Hope, they're supposed to be upstairs and at that office. He wasn't there for that. He was there because he got kicked off the train.
And I guess if you've been trespassed from the airport, then you're just out of luck as far as trying to get any help from Hope.
Usually, if you're trespassed from Hope at this point, you've already received some kind of assistance, and they're going to reject you anyway.
Okay. So the process is then before their trespass is try to get them in touch with Hope?
Yes.
Okay. And when you were dealing with Mr. Cheatham, did it seem like mentally he was able to understand your questions and understand the nature of a trespass warning?
Yes, he signed it.
Okay. All right. I have no further questions.
All right.
No redirect, Your Honor.
All right, closing arguments.
Your Honor, we would just rely on Officer Parker's testimony. He advised the defendant was there. Defendant himself stated that he was kicked off the MARTA, and Officer Parker confirmed that he had recently been issued a criminal trespass that was still in effect. Based on that, we would ask that you bind the case over to state court.
All right, Attorney Lane.
Your Honor, we just submit with the testimony.
All right, based on the evidence presented, I do find there is sufficient probable cause to bind this case over to the court, Clayton County, that's the order of the court. All right, Travis Coleman.
And Your Honor, we're also going to be ready on the next case, Cunningham.
I'm Coleman Travis.
I'm sorry?
Travis Coleman, you said?
I'm Sherman.
Yeah. Are you Mr. Coleman? All right, calling the matter of State of Georgia versus Travis Coleman, warrant number 2024 WA 70084, criminal trespass, representing the state is Attorney King, representing the defendant is Attorney Mark Lane. Your witness, Attorney King.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Kendrick, will you please raise your right hand? You swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
And will you please state your full name for the record?
Officer Antonio Kendrick,
Okay, and where are you currently employed?
Clayton County Police Department.
And how long have you been employed with the Clayton County Police Department?
9 years.
Okay, and what has been your position there?
Police officer.
And have you been post-certified for the duration with Clayton County?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
And were you on duty on December 3rd of 2023?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
And on that day, were you dispatched to 999 Morrow Road in Forestport?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
And what was the nature of that call?
It was reference to a disturbance call. We got a call from a Mr. Gary Lewis, who owns the residence, and he advised that he allowed his friend, Mr. Lex, his DePoy, to stay in the house because he's an elderly guy. He said that as he was on the way to the residence to take Mr. DePoy to take him to the bank so he can get some money. But he said as he got there, he seen Mr. Coleman he was inside of a taxi in the middle of the road. So he told him to get the hell out of the way. He said Mr. Coleman had not supposed to have been there because he was taking advantage of Mr. DePoy by taking his money. He was coming to the residence, taking his money, and then leaving him without any money. So he said he had been recently criminal trespassed sometimes around June of last year. So he told him don't come back to the property anymore because he was taking advantage of Mr. Lex.
Okay. And from my understanding, the defendant was a friend of Lex, who was the resident of the victim, who was living with the victim.
Yes, ma'am. That's what Mr. Coleman had stated.
Okay. And were you able to confirm that he had been criminally trespassed prior to that day?
Yes, ma'am. It was June the 18th, 2023.
Okay. And when speaking to the victim, did he ever say the defendant was refusing to leave?
Yes, ma'am. He said that he heard a knock at the door the night before. He heard 2 knocks at the door, and every time he went to the door, he pulled a curtain back and he didn't see anything. So he heard another knock, and when he heard that knock, that's when he noticed that it was Mr. Coleman.
Okay. And what happened when he noticed that it was Mr. Coleman?
He said Mr. Coleman told him that it wasn't any groceries inside of the residence and that they needed to go and get groceries. So he told him he didn't want to go, but he said Mr. Coleman Mr. Coleman pretty much told him, let's go. He grabbed him by his left arm and told him, let's go. We need to go get groceries because there wasn't any groceries inside of the house.
Okay. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
All right. Prof?
All right. Good morning, officer.
Good morning.
So as far as Mr. Coleman, you said he'd been trespassed. It was about 6 months earlier. How long was the trespass warning in effect for?
June to I guess 7 months. I don't know how long, but I mean they got criminal trespass last year. I think they last. I couldn't tell you how long they last.
Okay, because it was issued on June 18th, 2023, and now we're at December 3rd, 2023.
That's correct.
So, okay. And as far as Mr. Coleman, he never went inside the residence, did he?
He said he didn't go inside the residence, but he said that Mr. Lex had called him the night before, telling him that he wanted him to take him to get groceries. But when I asked him, can I see his cell phone and show me what number that he called from, he said he called from a neighbor's phone, but he couldn't provide the number that had called him the night before. So on the call log, only number that I had seen was it said taxi. The call ID had said taxi. It was like I think 753, I think. And that was the last call that I had seen prior to that day.
Okay. And then that day, who was saying that Mr. Coleman was actually there knocking on the door the night before?
Mr. Lex, the victim.
Okay. And he's the one who called Mr. Coleman to come help him get groceries?
No, Mr. Coleman was coming over that morning to take Mr. Lex to take him to the bank to get money because Mr. Lex doesn't have a cell phone.
Okay. And this is when Mr. Coleman's in the cab?
No, yes, sir. Mr. Coleman was in the cab. He said he was in the cab in the middle of it's a median because he said he knew that he had been recently criminal trespass, so he didn't want to go in the driveway, but he said Mr. Coleman made him pull into the driveway.
And Mr. Coleman never got out of the cab?
He said he didn't get out of the cab.
Okay. Did anybody ever say that he got out of the cab?
Mr. Coleman said, not Mr. Coleman, but Mr. Gary Lewis told him to get the hell out of there.
Okay. So Mr. Coleman never got out of the cab?
No, not to my knowledge.
Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
Just one question, Your Honor. Officer Kendrick, you say you weren't able to confirm the defendant got out of the cab, but was the cab parked at the victim's residence?
Yes, ma'am. It pulled into the driveway because Mr. Coleman was unable to pull in the driveway.
Okay, so it was pulled directly into 999 Morrow Road.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you say you were able to confirm that he had been criminally trespassed previously?
Yes, ma'am, on 6/18/2023. Also, the case number is attached for that report. It's attached inside the report.
Okay, and I think I missed this before. Did you know if it was still in effect on that day?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions at this time.
Closing arguments?
Yes, Your Honor, the state would ask that you find that there is probable cause based on officer's testimony. He advised that he responded to that residence and spoke to the victim, who advised that the defendant had been criminally trespassed from that residence, and he was able to confirm that the defendant had been criminally trespassed and that the trespass was still active. He was also able to confirm during his investigation that the defendant, although he may have not have gotten out the car, but he directed the taxi cab to pull directly into the driveway of their residence. And so based on that, Your Honor, we would ask that the case be bound over.
Okay. Mr. Lane?
Your Honor, there's conflicting testimony on whether the previous trespass in June was still in effect. And also we've got a case here where Mr. Coleman, nobody can even say that he ever got out of the cab. At most, we've got it in the driveway of the residence where he was lured to come to help this gentleman either get groceries or go to the bank. And so I would just say based on all of this, we request that this trespass be dismissed.
All right, based upon the evidence presented, I do find that there is sufficient probable cause to bind that case over to the State Court of Clayton County. That's the order of the court. All right, are we ready on Cunningham?
Yes, the state is ready, Your Honor.
All right, can we get Mr. Cunningham, please? And then Aisha Daniel will be next.
The state is also ready on that one.
All righty.
Can I be excused to go back to training?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, is that Mr. Cunningham? Are you Mr. Cunningham?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all righty. Now calling the matter of State of Georgia versus Kiwanis Cunningham, warrant number 2024 WA 01127, representing the state. Attorney King, representing the defendant, Attorney Lane. Your witness, Attorney King.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Glaspie, will you unmute yourself?
Yes,
And thank you. Do you swear that, please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. And will you please state your full name for the record?
Officer William Gillespie,
Glaspie. And where are you currently employed?
City of Atlanta Police Department, assigned at the airport
Okay, in what capacity?
as a police officer,
And how long have you been employed as a police officer at that location?
37 years.
Okay, and so you were post-certified on January 4th of this year?
I was.
Okay, and on January 4th, did you come into contact with the defendant, Mr. Cunningham?
Yes, I did.
And is that the same person you see before you see before you today in the orange jumpsuit?
I don't see him on my
You
screen
can't
here.
see? Okay. Can you see him now?
No, ma'am.
Okay. But you can see me and everyone else?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Okay. And did you you said you made contact with the defendant on that day?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And as a result of that contact, did you end up arresting the defendant?
I did.
And what did you charge him with?
Criminal trespass.
And why did you charge him with criminal trespass?
On that particular day and time, I was patrolling the airport and came across Mr. Cunningham sleeping on the bench of the SkyTrain platform. As I was getting ready to approach him, he jumped up and ran onto the SkyTrain, where I went onto the SkyTrain as well. Mr. Kiwanis sat down on the bench and took his coat and put it over his head as to go back to sleep again. So I tapped his jacket to ask him, excuse me, sir, do you have any airport business? He looked at me and got very angry and started cursing me out and said that he didn't have to answer me. So I proceeded to explain to Mr. Cunningham that during the hours of 11 to 4:30, we're having no airport business. We will have to escort you off the property. He again was very angry and was using very profane and abusive language. He jumped up at that time, got up and kind of launched towards me as to intimidate me and said, his exact word was, I don't give a fuck about going to jail. You can lock me up now, and turned around. When he turned around, I went ahead and put the handcuffs on him, took him back to the precinct where I was able to find a criminal trespass warning that was issued by Officer Terrell 5 days prior to me giving him another criminal trespass.
And and how long was that prior criminal trespass for? How long would that last?
5 days. It was issued by Officer Terrell on 12/30/2023.
Okay, and so it was intended to last for 5 days?
No. It was intended to last for 2 years.
Okay, thank you. No further questions at this. Well, can you describe what the defendant looked like? Do you recall what the defendant looked like?
Yes, he's about yes, he's about 5'6", 5'5", 5'6", or 5'7", probably about 170 to 180 pounds, brown skin, real low to no haircut, black male.
Okay. Do you remember around how old he was?
Not at this time. He's in his late 20s to early 30s, I believe.
Okay, thank you, officer. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Attorney Lane Cross.
Officer,
Good morning.
when you were encountering Mr. Cunningham, you said you brought him back to the to your station there, I guess, where you kind of run them through the system to see if they have any previous trespass warnings?
Back to the precinct, yes.
Okay. Were you able to see if he'd ever been offered the care services there at the airport?
Judging from the previous criminal trespass that I found, at the time, the officer said that he had no airport business, which meant that he wasn't upstairs trying to get help from the Hope at the time.
Okay. So when they come on to the property, they can go straight on up to, you guys will help them, guide them, and show them where the care office is?
If it's the first time there and they haven't been given previous criminal trespass warnings for loitering, yes, we do.
Okay. But once they've been trespass warned, then there's no option of getting care?
Not at that time, no.
Oh.
They would have to come back after the criminal trespass has expired, and it lasts for 2 years.
Okay. And did it seem like Mr. Cunningham was able to understand when you were communicating with him? He was able to understand your commands and warnings and questions?
He understood very well.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All righty. Any redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor.
All righty. Closing arguments?
Yes, Your Honor, the state would rest on Officer
Actually,
Glepsey's testimony.
I find that there's sufficient probable cause to bind this case over. That's the order for court. All right, so Aisha Daniel?
Thank you, Your Honor. Am I free to go?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And Deputy, what is the LE number for Mr. Cunningham? I cannot understand.
Yana, you ready? Cunningham?
Yes.
22
22
92
92
643.
All right, thank you.
Welcome. And who was the female, Yana, you just called?
Aisha Daniel, Aisha Daniel. And then Kim Duffy.
Yes, ma'am. Kim Duffy after her. Go ahead.
Yes. All right, are you Miss Daniel? Okay. Now calling the matter of State of Georgia versus Aisha Daniel, person warrant number 2023 WA 72878, representing the state is Attorney King, representing the defendant is Attorney Lane. Your witness, Attorney King.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Jackson, will you please raise your right hand and turn your camera on? I can't see you. There you go. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You can put your hand down. Will you please state your full name for the record?
Officer Cameron.
Okay. You're breaking up. Well, let me ask you a question to see if you'll be clear. Where were you employed on December 22nd of 2023?
Clayton County Police Department.
Okay. And in what capacity?
Police officer.
Okay. And were you post certified on that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And on that day, were you dispatched to 804 Fairway Point in Riverdale in reference to a domestic disturbance?
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
Okay. And what did you learn upon your arrival?
When I had arrived, I made contact with my victim, Quatiana, and she stated that her aunt, Aisha Daniel, was physically and verbally hitting her. So I had observed that she had a marking on her right forearm, and she had stated that Aisha attempted to hit her with a broom, but didn't actually hit her with a broom, but was physically hitting her. And I had a witness that also confirmed the same story.
Okay. And just to be clear, who did you say the victim was?
The victim was Quatiana McCoy.
Okay. And how did she know the defendant?
That's her
Okay.
aunt.
And they were living together at that residence?
Yes, ma'am. They stay in the
Okay.
same household
And
together.
you said that the victim said the defendant had physically hit her with a broom?
No, she had attempted to hit her with the broom, but she didn't actually hit her with the broom. But they actually got into a physical altercation where she hit her, and she had a bruise on her right forearm, which was also bleeding.
Okay. And how did the victim ever say how that altercation started?
Basically, they said that the victim had said that she was going up and down the stairs loudly, and she also had cooked her boyfriend some food, and she had refused her to fix her food.
Okay. So the defendant got upset because the victim was going down the stairs, up and down the stairs?
Yes.
And that's
Yes,
what led
she
to the
was going up and
physical
down the stairs.
altercation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you see any bruises or injuries on the victim?
Yes, she had a bruise on her right forearm.
Okay. And were you able to speak to the defendant?
Yes. She Aisha had stated that she didn't hit her. She said she had got attacked by Quatiana and the other Kamari. Said she had got attacked by those two, but I didn't see no actual bruises on Aisha at all.
Okay. Did she confirm her being upset about her going up and down the stairs? The victim going up and down the stairs?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you said you didn't see any bruises on her?
No, ma'am. I didn't see any bruises on Aisha.
Okay. And you said that there was a witness to this incident?
Yes. Kamari.
Okay. And was Kamari, who was Kamari?
She was the defendant's cousin, I think. She was a
Okay.
witness. She witnessed everything that happened.
Okay. And did this witness corroborate anything that the victim had stated?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what did the witness say?
The witness basically had said the same thing what my victim had basically said that she had got attacked because she was going up and down the stairs loudly and had fixed her boyfriend some food.
Okay. Thank you, Officer Jackson.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Hmm?
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I'm not.
Okay. No further
You fine.
questions.
That was it.
All right, Ross.
All right. Good morning, officer.
Good morning.
Were you ever able to establish who the owner of the residence there is at 804 Fairway Point Drive in Riverdale?
No, ma'am. No, sir. Sorry.
All right. And the bruise that you observed on the victim here, you said it was on her wrist?
No, it was actually on her right forearm.
Okay. It's but we have no idea where that bruise came from, correct?
Well, it was fresh. It was a fresh bruise from the altercation.
So what color was it?
It was red, pinkish color.
Okay.
It had, she was bleeding at the time when I got there.
Okay. And you said you did interview Miss Daniel, and she said that she was actually the
Yes,
one
sir.
who was attacked?
Yeah, she said she was attacked.
Okay. Did you review any kind of video evidence, security video evidence there at the residence?
No, sir, it wasn't camera inside the home.
Okay. And no one was bleeding, correct?
Say that again.
No one was bleeding?
Yes, my victim was bleeding
Where was she bleeding at?
on the right forearm.
Okay. So was it more like a cut then, you're saying, on her forearm than a bruise?
It looked like a minor bruise
Okay.
on the arm.
And did anybody receive any kind of medical treatment?
Yes, I had asked her did she need any medical treatment, and she didn't. She said she didn't need no medical treatment.
Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Or any redirect?
No, redirect, Your Honor.
Have an officer trying to get in. All righty. Based upon the evidence presented, I do find that there is sufficient probable cause to bind Aisha Daniels' charge over to the State Court of Clayton County. That's the order of the court. All right, Kim Duffy. And then Lola Favors out to bond. Demetrius Fields. Are you ready on that one as well?
Your Honor, that case is being directly accused.
Your Honor, we'd ask the court to dismiss this case. It's untimely. They announced ready when the first call of the calendar. This is just a way for them to try to get a continuance.
All right, first let's Kim Duffy. Are you Mr. Duffy? You're Mr. Duffy? Okay, let's have the hearing on Duffy, please. Do you I see Xavier Card. Is that the officer?
Yes,
Okay.
Your Honor, that's the officer.
All righty. Okay, actually, I really would like to hold this one. I'm gonna go off YouTube for this one. Is there an objection to that?
No objection, Your Honor.